Hi, Brenda. This is Mike Walsh with my little video of going through the continuous assessment. So we're going to start at the standard analysis of what I was looking at. It's probably the best place to start. My first question I was looking at was any relationship between heart rate, calories burned, and minimum pace. So I set out to clean the data to try to figure out what relationship there was. Unfortunately, I couldn't. My calories burned data was completely out of whack. So I couldn't continue with that one. Thought that was, well, we needed either more cleaning or the data was incorrect, or so that one was didn't continue with that. My second one was trying to figure out what relationship, or try to figure out a table between first, second, and third place, and how concentrated or what relationship there was between those, and a total points. So that was pretty interesting. I was given 3 points for a first, 2 points for a second, and 1 point for a third to try to get some kind of total points, and then see what athlete did the best and where they finished in subsequent races. And my third question I was looking at was was there any effect of temperature, wind, and rainfall on races? And I found that pretty much, well, rainfall was maybe the most interesting to look at there. So looking at the data then in race entries, I was working on pace, figuring out the highest pace per race. So on that race ID, with that pace, what was the athlete ID with that, and getting this figure here, or this athlete number here, as the winner. And that's the maximum. That was the maximum pace time for that one, race one. And this was the athlete with that. This is the pace of the second. This is the athlete ID of second. Pace of third, athlete ID of third. So I was doing a power pivot query, or power query to get this. So I was getting first, second, and third place for that one race. So, and ended up in, well, 2 tables really. The first place, second place, third place, and their times, and the athlete ID and what they got in first, seconds, and thirds, the number of. So that was pretty complicated. Took a long time to figure that out. Also worth noting is I had to kind of work in steps. It was one step to get to another step to get to another step. So I disconnected from the main table there to try to figure that out. This is one step to the next step to the next step. Okay. I also looked at races which had the temperature windfall in it. So basically manipulated that data there to get to this table here. So put distance, which came from a VLOOKUP, I'd say, from somewhere. But to get this, so I really was interested in getting distance, temperature, wind, rainfall in one location. So I had to numerically identify this location to get to a location here. So Kilkenny was 1, so then just to put them into a numerical value, and then got to this table here. So all my information was in this table here. I have rainfall. I adjusted rainfall by a factor of 10 just to get it into a graph that I wanted to use later. So that was it. That's my adjusted rainfall. Okay, that's more or less kind of what I've done. With that table there mentioned earlier, I just created a little drop down. I thought I was going to use this in the dashboard, but I didn't because I was using splicers or any instead. But this just shows by searching for ID, athlete ID, how many first, seconds, and thirds they got and how many points they got. So that's basically from that table there. So this is specifically looking at the conditions, and I was playing with that. So I just kept some of that work there, playing with this. This is what I was to try to get this rainfall to become relevant to here. So that's me just playing with it there and getting to this then. So that's my data there as well. So here's my camera. I used the camera feature to get these two tables. So changing this will change, or changing any of these fields will change what's on the dashboard. And that's just tables I'm working with and different power queries related to wind, for example, or temperature. Okay, so just a quick look at the dashboard now. So what I basically was doing was presenting an end of season report. For this is where we are. This is what happened from Athletics Ireland, as if the end of the series. So we could search for each individual athlete, which gives us the results of our wins and points here. This graph here highlighting the concentration of wins and points and showing how concentrated it is in the first top 10, or in the first few here, really. So here's the two tables that are connected. We're showing our top 10 and how concentrated they are. And that's just a little filler, really, just a bit of advertising. So our second page in this is, again, we're looking at wind, rainfall, and temperature and how it affects the different race meeting sites. So we can look at one each individually, or that doesn't really give us much information, really. So probably to keep the filter off that one on, it just shows there of what the wind, rainfall, and temperature is. So that converts down to this graph here. So this is the adjusted rainfall. So it's come into this graph and seeing it. How does it influence these? So it also identified here as Cork and Sligo is quite the difference between the pace and the distance, implying that there could be something else there. Why is it the pace so slow for yet quite a large long distance in a race? So that's interesting there. And here's let's say the Galway, Kilkenny, Limerick rain is quite tightly aligned here, with high average rainfall, and the pace and distance is it's closely aligned there. So that was kind of interesting as well. So here's an individual view, again, kind of presenting a little bit the same information as on the main dashboard, but here we can just search on one individual athlete who got 4 in the first place and 15 total points, and how that person did there. So that's just a different way of presenting that data. And that's it really. So I'll upload this now, and thanks.